Hey everybody, what's going on? This is an update. Let me get my light right. This is an update on my journey with this Ancestry DNA thing. All right. So I did the Ancestry DNA, and now I still haven't got my results back. I shipped it out, got it. I got an email saying that my sample has been received and is processing. But you go online and start working your tree. So I've been doing my family tree. On my mother's side, I traced my mother's side back to the plantation. So on my mother's side, let me pull this up. Hold on. I'm going to figure out how to show this to you one day. But on my mother's side, bear with me. From my mother's side, I am working. I am 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 generations off of the Kilby plantation. I got a picture of Simon W.K. Kilby. The Kilby plantation comes from my great grandmother, or my great grandma Fannie Mae Kilby. She is a descendant from the Kilby plantation, and I always just used to think about how far removed from slavery am I. So I traced it back. Simon W. Kilby, he was born in 1853. All right. Slavery didn't end, or the Emancipation Proclamation, so-called, wasn't issued till 1865. So this guy was born on a plantation. He was born in slavery. That's on my mother's side. So I was like, okay, my daddy's side, I started tracing back. And this is just from texting people, figuring this out, and going on, looking at death certificates, marriage certificates, finding fathers, siblings, mothers, and filling it all in. But my father's father is Leroy Jones. So when I trace Leroy Jones back, Leroy Jones' grandparents was Anthony Jones. All right. So this is real interesting, though, the Anthony Jones, because then his great grandparent, let me see. So my grandfather would be Leroy Jones. My great grandfather would be Anthony Jones. My second great grandfather would also be Anthony Jones. Then my third great grandfather would be Robert P. Jones. And the next one, well, Robert P. Jones is actually Robert Pompey Jones. And he's traced back to be on that same plantation from roots. The one that Kunta Kinte was on, my genealogy is traced back to that plantation. And on my father's side, I am still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 generations removed from the plantation. So Robert Pompey Jones and Simon W. Kilby are all my descendants from both sides, and I traced them back to 2 different plantations in Virginia. Now you're like, okay, well, why are you sharing this? Man, let me tell you, I watched the movie Roots. I laughed at it. I joked. All that Toby, Kunta Kinte, Toby be a good nigga. All that stuff was always a joke. It used to be a joke. Now it strikes home because my roots are established back in the roots of that plantation. So like when I think about it now, seeing the women getting raped, kids getting molested, people getting their foot cut off, men getting castrated. This is realistic to me now. And it didn't make me angry. It didn't make me happy. It gave me a sense of, damn, Thurston, you got to do better. Then during the Deion Sanders game, I saw Master P with that t-shirt to say, it's personal. This shit right here, this shit right here just got personal to me. Like, my relatives, the blood, the lineage that I kept, that pumps through my vein came. I always knew that black people in America were enslaved, but I never identified it and tied it in to a particular plantation that I grew up on, or grew up around. I didn't say on, but grew up around. So now it's personal. I'm asking myself, what have I done with this freedom that my people fought for? What have I done with this freedom that they died for? I've taken it for granted. I sold dope, I hurt women, I hurt men, I manipulated people. I've just taken my own black excellence for granted. But once I see this, after reading this and looking at it and seeing pictures and faces, this stuff is personal. Like super duper personal. I really want to do better. True, hands down. My DNA has not been analyzed yet. So I don't know what region I'm from, but just seeing this on the screen and seeing pictures and photos, I really, really, really want to do better. Like, I want to establish generational wealth. Well, I already own land, but I want my 40 acres and a mule, the reparations. You don't got to give me the mule. You don't got to give me the mule, but you can give me my 40 acres. Like, I'm a direct descendant from those that came off of these lands, these plantations where we were enslaved. I'm gonna stop calling my people slaves, because we weren't slaves. We were a people who were enslaved by our oppressors. Man, this shit got personal. Like, really, really personal. And I'm usually calm, cool, collective on my posts. I try not to cuss, but this is just what I'm feeling right now. And as I've been going through adding family members on my chart, and I'm gonna share my family tree with you before my results get processed. What I've been seeing too, what really threw me, is some of these people that's in the gap. Like, for instance, Simon Kilby, his father was James F. Kilby Sr. All right. Now, I got a picture of James right here. James is white. He whiz-eyed. So James Kilby Sr. had a child by a woman that he enslaved named Julia Ann. All right. This is back in the 1800s. That's my fourth great grandparent was a plantation owner, man. My fourth great grandparent was the plantation owner. Let me tell you again. My fourth great grandparent was the massa. All right. So just looking at the face, looking at the stories, reading death certificates. I read a death certificate of one of my family members. I know her name when I see it. I'm gonna pull it up and read it. But she in Caroline County, in her death certificate, she was found dead with a gunshot wound to the skull, and her body was partially burned, colored. That's the race they put on there. It was either colored or Negro. This shit got personal, man. I'm really, I don't know what you got going on. I don't know what you're doing in your life. I don't know where you're at. I don't know what you're striving for. But I'm about to put my feet down, man. I really want to do better as a person, as a father, as a husband, as a son, just as a mentor, as a role model, as just somebody in society, knowing that this blood of kings and blood of queens and blood of plantation owners is pumping through my veins. It's just pumping through my veins. I mean, I get hype off of Deion Sanders watching Primetime. It's about time for me to get into Primetime and do what I got to do to stand up as a black man that's walking around with this blood pumping through my veins of our ancestors, that's calling me to greatness and calling you to greatness. So what you gonna do? I'm gonna tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna start focusing heavy on my finances, right? I'm gonna stop taking these things for granted. I'm gonna start focusing more heavily on my self-image. Because I laughed at my own peoples. Everybody watched Roots or Alex Haley and had some kind of joke or had something slick to say. Some people cried. Some people was like, man, that shit crazy. I was one of them guys that just thought it was a game. And then I was Googling where Kunta Kinte was buried at. They saying his body most likely is at Lorella Park in Spotsylvania County, Virginia. Now, he wasn't a slave of that plantation, but the plantation that he was on, which my ancestors was on, that's on the borderline of Carolina, Spotsylvania County, their slaves are buried there in that unmarked grave all the way in the back. When you go past the pool, past the big house, past the little playground, past the picnic area, you keep walking, it's an unmarked slave area in the back, and I used to play over there. Do you figure deal me? I'm about to put my foot in everything, man, because I gotta do it. It's personal. I gotta do it. I'm about to put my foot in everything I do. I'm gonna give it my best effort. I'm gonna strive for Black excellence. I'm gonna go ahead and get knowledgeable. I'm gonna stop drifting away. I'm gonna just press, man, and elevate my family. 5 generations later, what do we got? Credit card debt? 5 generations later. Now, for you, Mr. Kilby, on the other side, you plantation owner, I bet your descendants is probably eating good right now, the descendants of your wife. But you decided to sleep with Miss Juliet Ann and had that baby, Simon Kilby. And then from Simon Kilby, it went to Herbert Reed Kilby. And from Herbert Reed Kilby, it went to Fannie Mae Kilby, which is my great-grandmother. All right? So this blood is flowing through me. Let's go. I'm gonna put this video together, y'all. I just had to share my experience on Ancestry DNA, Ancestry.com. I haven't even got the results, but just doing this family tree has been crazy. So y'all stay heavily motivated, stay humble. And I'm not even gonna say sit down, I'll say stay humble and stand up. Let's get it. I don't know what you're striving for, whether it's losing weight, whether it's finances, whether it's spirituality, but let's go. I'm the guy, we'll get there together. I'm tired of playing games. I can't play games. Just identity, just knowing these things, man, changes a lot. When I look at my son now and look at my kids, and now if I sit down with my kids and watch the movie Roots, I'm gonna be like, yo, you know that you descendants from that plantation. It's not a game. My lunch break over. Let me get back to work. I just had to share that. I hope that something that I say or do, you'll find useful. Something I say or do will help you or whatever change you're trying to make. But let the best sermon that I ever give or the best video I ever make, let it be the life that I live. Tap in. Peace.